Well, it's a gorgeous day. Finally, I'm going to go for a walk. And then it's going to be 4 or 5 degrees tomorrow. So that is good news for people in the prairies where I live, where it's been ice cold the last week or so. Oh, I hole up. I do when it gets cold because I can alter my workout to suit my. I kind of look at the forecast and then, plan my week up. And if I see a good cold spell, I'm like, why should I leave the house if I don't have to? And in virus season, it's something that I absolutely take advantage of because if you're going to get sick, it's in the winter time. It's just the way it is. And honestly, it kind of dictates how I do things. For example, I don't go to my local Y when the kids and the little virus transmitters are hanging out. They tend to be there after school. So I don't go there. I don't really go when the university kids are there either. I tend to go where the older people are going. Usually 8 o'clock on. I change it up all the time. And it's all about making sure that there's not a lot of people around. Because people just don't think. And in virus season, I think it's absolutely unfashionable and rude to be running around snotting all over the place. Hacking, spreading viruses. And I see it all the time. That's why I don't work in an office, and I never would. I knew that right from the get-go, years and years ago. Because in those places, you have to contend with selfish people who only care about the money in their pocket. They don't care that they're spreading it to 10 people when they come in knowingly sick. I need the money. It's always a selfish shit. And at the end of the day, it's funny because it's a lot of the times people working for government and corporations that actually have more allowances for staying home. And they could, but they choose not to. Why? Because of selfishness. Those moms that take their snotting kids to the pool to spread the virus to 40 other kids and then make sure, it's in the water. That's good. I find it absolutely unconscionable that people would do that. And in fact, I say something. I really do. Because more people need to say something. Instead of tolerating that behavior, because see, here we've got, with this pandemic, we've got a situation in which the powers that be are trying to deny all culpability to a created virus, created in a lab with a patent, COVID-19, as it's now known, formerly the coronavirus. Of course, they like to keep us all silly on that too, because again, it's hard to keep up. And that's intentional. And that's when it's a plan by sociopaths. The fact is that viruses are going to be part of our lives more and more. And it's clear that who has gone with corporate interests over human interest. Because the money is more important, just like those selfish people who keep going to work sick. It's all about the money. And nobody wants to give up anything. But the thing is, we're giving up our health. We're giving up our well-being by tolerating this. So I have another plan for that. Now, the thing is, I work out of home, obviously. I wouldn't work in the office, no way. Couldn't make me. Because people thinking, and the companies are investing in vaccines. Vaccines that have no efficacy, that have 10% efficacy, like being the flu vaccine, for example, never beyond 30%. Because they're creating a vaccine culture and they are going to have us demanding it. Why? Because we refuse to contain it ourselves. Because they've told us we don't have to, or they're not impressing the importance. It goes beyond hand washing. It means you don't go to work. You claim your sick days, or you make it clear if you go to work that you have a health risk in somebody who's snotting all over the place. See, this is how we can protect ourselves. When we actually take responsibility for the transmission of these viruses, even if they throw them at us, okay, it doesn't matter. We still have to stop and contain it. And each of us has to think in those terms. We have to stop thinking in they're going to contain it for us, because no, they're not. It's not in their best interest. There's money to be made here. And again, created by sociopaths that gaslight us. They want everybody to continue traveling. But I'll tell you, if all of you started canceling your vacations coming up because you're not sure about the coronavirus, industry would respond by containing it next time. The more people that continue on as business as usual, you are setting the bar here when it should be here for you know whose action and non-action, as we have been seeing. It starts from you demanding that your employers provide you with a safe working environment, and that your children go to school without having to have children hacking all over them. And you know what? Schools can make that provision by having, if kids are sick and they can't go home, then they go into an area for a different type of study that day, but they're not interacting. It's an incentive to keep us, in making us take responsibility for keeping ourselves healthy and keeping our immunity up, eating well, all of those things. They're asking, what's happening right now is we're setting the table. They're setting the table for us to beg for mercy, for medical intervention. And then what will happen is that medical intervention will be mandatory. Instead of taking the simplest measure, and that is containing it on a personal level, on a corporate level, having policies that support ensuring that, you know what, that person can work from home today. Because with all this technology, there's no reason that someone cannot work from home. Truly. Or do some level of work from home. And if they can't, your corporation should get on it and ensure that can happen. We need to push from below. And instead of demanding medical treatments, medical interventions, medical miracles that never are, let's take responsibility for ourselves, shut these viruses down, and be the masters of our destinies rather than that of the sociopaths and what they've got planned. Love to have you subscribe to my channel. Please do that. And of course, you can get me on Facebook and Instagram. And I am working on my website now and a future platform. Just not exactly sure where I'm going with it all yet, but it's coming together organically, as everything in my life always does. And as it should, just like Mother Nature intended.